Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. And if that's something that interests you, then please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Gosh, nobody told me that when I lost weight, everybody would be trying to talk to me all the time. And I can't handle it anymore. I need my space again. No, I'm just kidding. Hello, you guys. It's time for another Midsize Princess video. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've had this wig in my mouth. But I want to go ahead and cover this person. So I was just living my life on Instagram. Okay? I was living my life. And I saw this. That's what happens to me. I feel like I'm in a hostile relationship with Instagram. And because I have started to file away certain Midsize Princess videos, I get a lot of them. Like, I'm starting to get them constantly. And it's a lot because I am mid-size. And it's really dark. So for those of you guys who don't know what a Midsize Princess is, it's basically this idea of feeling hurt by losing weight or feeling too different or special, and then just being very negative about it. I think it comes from a lot of different things. A lot of it has to do with the toxic ritualistic past, but I want to go ahead and cover this one first. We're going to do two of hers. So this is Emma Gets Fit. Remember, when I do these, this is not hate. This is just criticism. I have no hate or judgment towards these people. It's just, it needs to be called out, and I'm sorry, it just does. So let's go ahead and I'm going to watch the whole thing, and then we're going to go ahead and respond to it.
Have over 100 pounds to lose. A 170-pound woman can hit the gym, clean up her meals, and then a couple...
Oh, hold on. Let me start this over. Sorry, I'm kind of flopping tonight really bad. 1 second. Okay. It says POV, you lost 160 pounds and the journey looked nothing like you thought it would.
How different a weight loss journey is when you have over 100 pounds to lose. A 170-pound woman can hit the gym, clean up her meals, and in a couple months she's down 30 pounds. Everyone's jaw is on the floor, compliments are rolling in, people notice. When you're starting at 300 plus pounds, you can work just as hard, lose the exact same 30 pounds, and it feels like no one sees it. Clothes might fit a little looser, maybe your face looks different in photos, but you're still in a bigger body, you still feel invisible, and it's frustrating. Because you're showing up, you're doing the work, and your transformation isn't going to be some 12-week highlight reel. It might take a year, maybe 2, maybe more, and it's going to be hundreds of early morning. Saying no when it's easier to say yes, choosing movement when your body is tired, maybe passing on the apps and going home early because you've got goals and you're committed. And a lot of the time, no one's clapping for you. No one's noticing that yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not working. You have to do it for you, not for the praise, not for the likes, and not for the before and after photo. Do it because you're ready to have a different life. Do it because you want to stop using food to numb what hurts. Because you want to build better habits and learn how to show up for yourself even when life gets hard. Because your life deserves more than feeling stuck. You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve the same love that you give everyone else. So turn the big-hearted, caretaking part of you inward and start pouring that energy into you and your healing and your health and your future. Because this time you are not quitting. You are not falling off again, and you are choosing you, and that is what changes everything. Something that no...
Okay. So on its surface, most of it is good. I agree with a lot of this. I just don't agree with the framing. I think it's really a matter of framing, because I think what you have to worry about, especially with Midsize Princess Energy, is you have to worry about anger and a feeling of injustice or unfairness. The way that she frames this, she talks about it as if it's unfair that somebody who has 30 pounds to lose is celebrated versus somebody who has more, which there's a couple of different things with that. I'm going to go ahead and break it down piece by piece. Let's go.
No one really talks about is how different a weight loss journey is when you have over 100 pounds to lose. A 170-pound woman can hit the gym, clean up her meals, and in a couple months she's down 30 pounds.
Couple months? That's pretty fast. I'm just saying. It's a little bit exaggerated in my opinion. 30 pounds, I would say be at least 3. Typically, right? You're typically recommending a 2 pound per week weight loss. It might even be a little slower than that a lot of the time. So I think it's a little exaggerated, which again, it's the framing of it, right? And it's no hate. I'm just trying to bring some reality to this because it makes people mad. When they hear this type of stuff, it makes them mad. And I don't think that that's good.
Once everyone's jaw is on the floor, compliments are rolling in, people notice.
People do compliment when you're bigger too. It does take a bit longer. So she's saying when you start at 300 plus pounds, people do, but it's also like you don't have as much of that stigma of like, wow, you're just doing this for vanity. Wow, you don't even have to. Why are you even doing it? There's a lot of that too in the mids. So it's not just all sunshine and rainbows in the mids. It's also, there's scrutiny, criticism, a lot of stuff within the mid-size phase too. So I don't like that framing of it because if you're like 170 and you're trying to get to 140, you're going to get a lot of criticism. People are going to be like, you don't have to do that. Why are you doing that? Is there something wrong with you? Do you hate yourself? Right? You're going to get a lot of that and from a lot more people than if you're over 300 pounds. And you will still get praised if you're over 300 pounds. I don't like the framing of this. It's too exaggerated.
Starting at 300 plus pounds, you could work just as hard, lose the exact same 30 pounds, and it feels like no one sees it. Clothes might fit a little looser, maybe your face looks different in photos, but you're still in a bigger body, you still feel invisible, and it's frustrating because you're...
So where I can understand is when you're talking about this gap between especially being a 3X and a 2X, in American sizing at least, which I don't know, she sounds Canadian, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my accents are just off. But at least in the US, going from a 3X to a 2X is a huge gap. It's almost 100 pounds for a lot of people. It's drastic. So that can feel like forever because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But there is such a thing as the paper towel effect, which people do talk about a lot online, which is basically like the closer you get to your goal, the more 1 pound shows of weight loss or fat loss, it shows a lot more. That's true. That's frustrating, but that's physics. I don't like I don't like the framing of it as if it's society's fault that it's not as noticeable. It's just physical. It's nothing, it's not anybody shaming you or anything like that. Like, take it down a notch, please.
You're showing up, you're doing the work, and your transformation isn't going to be some 12-week highlight reel.
So that part I can understand. It's very hard. When you have a long haul weight loss, that's what I call it, that's 100 plus pounds, which is exactly what she's talking about. It can feel daunting. It can. However, I need my wand, 1 second. This is not something that anybody wants to hear. But if you're over 100 pounds overweight, there's a reason for that. There's a lot of eating. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of mismanagement of the issue. Blah, blah, blah. Blame anybody you want, I guess. But regardless, there's a lot more to it. A lot more. So... one way or another, the problem was not addressed when it was more manageable. And that's not really random people on the streets' fault that happened. That's all I can say. So again, you have to kind of think about it more logically.
It might take a year, maybe 2, maybe more, and it's going to be hundreds of early mornings. Saying no when it's...
I have a lot of late mornings, but I know that I'm atypical, but I also have a lot of late nights. So I tend to go to the gym at night. I've had a lot of late nights, so I agree with this part.
It's easier to say yes, choosing movement when your body is tired, maybe passing on the apps and going home early because you've got goals and you're committed. And a lot of the time, no one's clapping for you. No one's noticing that yet, but that doesn't...
Again, there's also a lot of nights BINGing. There's a lot of nights eating a lot. There's a lot of nights neglecting the issue. There's a lot of nights, having too much fun or doing too much. Again, always try to keep it in balance in your mind because you have to keep a realistic perspective. It's so easy. Trust me, I know it is so easy to have the Midsize Princess logic of, oh my God, I have to do so much and nobody else has to, blah, 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 blah. But it's also, I did too much. I didn't fix this issue sooner. It was neglected one way or the other. I engaged in the toxic ritualistic. That's a huge problem for people who have BING'd and all that stuff. It's a huge thing. There's too many nights of that. So you have to keep it in perspective. That girl that has to lose 30 pounds probably didn't do all that. So does she deserve to have to go through all that when she didn't do that? No. No. Keep it in perspective. It's not as unfair as you're framing it. It's not. And remember, it's not all about random people in society. It's not their fault. Maybe there was an issue that was neglected. I've been angry at professionals I saw when I was a teenager that were completely clueless as to the fact that I had such a severe case of B followed by E followed by D, but that has nothing to do with society. It has nothing to do with it. I can be frustrated about intergenerational trauma and this issue being passed down through at least 3 generations in my family. I can be frustrated about that. Does that have anything to do with you? Probably not. And even those in our families that have the same issue, they can be unaware or just as clueless. You have to kind of cool out on that judgment, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And the reason I say that is because you have to forgive certain things when you're losing weight. And I think especially in this phase, because you don't want to carry that with you. You don't want to have that attitude. And you certainly don't want to subject people to it. You don't. Especially people on the street and stuff. You don't want to subject people to that. And you also don't want to subject people online to that necessarily. You don't.
Doesn't mean that it's not working. You have to do it for you, not for the praise, not for the likes, and not for the before and after photo. Do it because you're ready to have a different life. Do it because you want to stop using food to numb what hurts. Because you want to build better habits and learn how to show up for yourself even when life gets hard. Because your life deserves more than feeling stuck. You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve the same love that you give everyone else. So turn the big-hearted, caretaking part of you inward and start pouring that energy into you and your healing and your health and your future.
That was beautiful. Love all that.
Because this time you are not quitting, you are not falling off again, and you are choosing you, and that is what changes everything.
So I like that part. So I just needed a little different because it sets up a lot of anger. Now there's another one that I have to cover that is honestly, I think, pretty bad. So we're going to get into it. Let's go. Okay, so this one is horrifying. I'm just going to preface it by saying that we're just going to watch it. I probably shouldn't have said that to state it with, but this is what I saw on my feed. So just so you know, this is what Instagram is shoving in my face. So I want you to know that. I want you to know that. Okay? My mid-size princess ass is being forced, just kidding, being subjected by Instagram to watch this. So I'm going to play the whole thing, then we're going to go through it piece by piece.
Anything as much as I think about my body.
She says, I don't think about anything as much as I think about my body.
Everybody has a body, but I feel so alone in the way I feel about mine. I feel so alone when every piece of clothing from my closet is scattered across every inch of my bedroom. And I'm in tears because it's not the clothes, it's my body, and I can't get a new one like I can get a new shirt. I feel so alone when I get to the party and I keep going to the bathroom to look at myself in the mirror from the side. I feel so alone in my body while I stand naked on a scale in my bathroom and wonder why I'm always so out of control. While I scroll up in my camera roll with a pit in my stomach, looking at photos of the body I hated, wishing I could have it back, I feel alone. I watch the bodies of everyone around me change with age, and I think it's beautiful for everyone except for me. I give everyone grace, and I give myself unrelenting criticism. I feel alone while I curse the lighting and change rooms, and while I pinch at my stomach in the morning while I brush my teeth. I feel alone while I stare at my legs next to my friends in the back of the cab and feel off-put by the size of them, while I'm at the gym and I can feel my stomach fold over my leggings. The way I feel about my body is lonely and all-encompassing, and it is all the time. And I know there is so much more that matters. I know there is no one I love for the way they look. It is always for the way they are, and maybe one day I will learn to see me the way I see everyone else, because everybody has a body. A strong, capable, beautiful body that has nothing to do with the way they are, but I feel so alone in the way that I feel about mine. I don't
You know, when I saw this, I was like, what the actual fuck? This horrified me. So, I have tried my best to educate about B followed by E followed by D. And one of the aspects of the cycle that is almost never talked about is hating our physical form. It's always framed as an addiction, which I don't like because it ignores the other two aspects. It only focuses on one aspect, which is not helpful. There are two more. One is the reductive aspect, which, yes, it does exist, even if it's just the memory of a reductive episode. That's still part of it. The other part of it is obsession with physical form. So what is the first thing she says here? Listen.
I don't think about anything as much as I think about my body.
You are still in E followed by the letter D, period. So when I hear that, I know pretty much instantly that she's not looking at any of this. Anything on her content, anything really, is probably going to be clouded by this fact that she is still locked in it. Pretty hardcore. This also puts her at risk of relapse. This puts her at risk of regain. I always advocate against this. This is a very dangerous way to have lost the weight. It is not good at all. That is awful. It is not okay. We shouldn't do this. I don't do this. I know this is going to sound kind of bitchy, but I guess I am a little bit bitchy. It made me feel better about myself because I was like, oh, I don't feel that way. Which I know that's bad, but it's also not bad because it just means I have come a long way. It's not that I didn't used to feel like she does. I did. But I've come a long way mentally myself. So it protects your progress. That's the biggest thing. You know, I'm not a super emotional girly pop. Like, I am pretty emotional as a girly pop. I probably shouldn't even say that. That's a total lie. What I would say is, I don't think feelings are the most important thing in the world. I think reality matters more. I think your health matters more than your feelings. But with feelings this strong about this, it could put your health at risk because it can put you at risk of relapse. So if you're feeling this way, you need to stop obsessing. Stop it. Stop obsessing. Don't look in the mirror for more than 10 minutes in a day. It could even be less, unless you're putting on makeup or something. But do not be looking in the mirror, looking at your weight. Not for more than 10 minutes in a day. That's my little advice for you. And I always say that kind of thing, or I always talk about it, and people that don't have this issue or never have, you don't understand. Like, people can sometimes look for hours. Legit. I have had moments where I have stared for hours. And I've heard people describe this issue as like very narcissistic kind of, and I think it is in a way because you are obsessed. It's like a self-obsession. You're obsessed with how you look. You're obsessed with it, but it's like you're also like trying to torment yourself over it. It's very bizarre, but it is bad. It's bad. It's really bad. So, like I said, I've had my moments. There's even been moments where I've slipped into it throughout weight loss, because weight loss in and of itself can be kind of triggering, to be honest. So that's why it's tricky, and that's why a lot of people struggle when they try to normalize their weight. But I always know that it's bad if I've ever done that. And so I never encourage myself to do it, and I often don't, because it is a part of the cycle. And if you do it too much, you can trigger an episode. So it just has to be stated. I have to reiterate it. I have to repeat it. I have to say it all the time. Okay? 10 minutes in a day. And I mean the whole day. So I mean, you check in the morning, you check in the afternoon. Okay, that's okay. It's 10 minutes throughout the day. You're just quickly bopping in, looking real quick. Because I understand when you're losing weight and stuff, you tend to look a little bit. But if you're like staring, if you're spiraling, if you're doing all this, no. That's a no. If you're making a reel like this, no. You've reached a different planet. You've left Earth.
He has a body, but I feel so alone in the way I feel.
So she's trying to show as much of her flaws as she can, and she's really trying to, honestly, I feel like make them look worse than they probably are. She's choosing very specific lighting. This is almost like the opposite of trying to make yourself look good. She's trying to frame it in the worst possible light, which I don't think is helpful. I think it actually can trigger other people in a way that's very negative. And I just feel like she's trying to reinforce her own issue, her own DIS order, you know? She's trying to reinforce it in herself. She doesn't want to let it go. And that's the thing about the Midsize Princess Energy. A lot of it has to do with not wanting to let go of certain things, not being able to move forward after losing weight. And to me, that's what that is. She doesn't want to let that go. She just doesn't.
Feel about mine. I feel so alone when every piece of clothing from my closet is scattered.
So this is not something that you're special or different for feeling this way. This is really within the toxic ritualistic world. It's about as basic as apple pie within this issue. I know that kind of sucks the fun out of it. Oh gosh, you know, I know my one hater is going to be, oh my gosh, you're projecting on everybody. No, I just know the disorder. Dummy. And by the way, that person does have an issue, but they're on the reductive side. So I would take what they say with a grain of salt, honestly. But, you know, they prove my toxic ritualistic enforcement theory, so I let them stay. And you can see how incessant that person is. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna work on a video on how to handle people like that, especially IRL. Like, most people are not online and hate comments online or whatever, but I specifically mentioned that person because they're relevant to the issue. That's why. If it was just about my nose or something, I wouldn't care, but it's not. It isn't. No matter what she says, I know what it's really about. But again, I know the problem. So the reason why I know it is because a lot of these feelings are not special. They're not different. They're literally within the DSM, basically. Like, it's pretty basic. So, and a lot of people feel this way. Not everybody, obviously, but it's not special. It's just a problem. Okay? So you're not alone in that, but I don't think it should be reinforced or anything whatsoever. I don't think that's good. So don't go trying to look for community around it. That's not helpful with these types of things, because it tends to just be a toxic reinforcement pull where everybody drags each other down. It's very crabs in a bucket. It's awful. It gets really toxic really fast. But basically, these feelings are not, they're not special or different. And that's kind of what that's giving. Let's continue.
Scattered across every inch of my bedroom. And I'm in tears because it's not the clothes,
it's obsession. So, like, when I see her, I don't think it's all that bad, honestly. I don't. Which I guess I'm just horrible. I don't know. I guess I should feel like it's worse or something. I don't know. But I don't think it's that bad. I guess I'm just evil.
Body, and I can't get a new one like I can get a new shirt.
Because I think, too, the part that I have an issue with this type of thing is it has to do with the toxic ritualistic idea and framing that there's an ideal version of you. And there isn't. It doesn't exist. You are who you are. Is she better off now, or is she better off when she was bigger? She probably looks better now. So it's not a lateral move. It's not a downgrade. It's better. That's just reality. That can be harsh for a lot of people, but it is what it is, you know? And I just don't think that we should ever like hold ourselves to this ideal in our brain that doesn't actually exist, never did exist, never will exist, doesn't exist for anybody, for anyone. Everybody looks at their flaws, or everybody thinks that their flaws are horrible or whatever. It's very common. And that's not even just within the toxic ritualistic. People have things about themselves that they don't like. It's just when it's framed around weight and when it becomes an issue, because it starts to change things and you start to like develop this pattern of behavior, all these behaviors and stuff and obsessions and things like that. That's where it turns bad. But remember, it's triggered by trauma. It's not something that just happens. You don't catch it like a cold, because this stuff is not it's not natural. It just isn't. I mean, I think we need to stop acting like these things are normal or natural. They're not.
I feel so alone when I get to the party and I keep going to the bathroom to look at myself in the mirror from the side.
You don't do that. That's too much. If it's starting to interfere with your social life, that's a huge problem. Like, you have a real issue. You need to stop.
I feel so alone in my body while I stand naked on a scale in my bathroom and wonder why I'm always so out of control. While I scroll up in my camera roll with a pit in my stomach, looking at photos of the body I hated, wishing I could have it back.
Wishing I could have it back. Hello, relapse. Hello, regain. So am I supposed to think that if she were to regain the weight, it would just be like this shocking thing that came out of nowhere? That's serious. That's a no. No, we don't do that. N-O exclamation point. Sometimes I write things down when I'm doing this. I wrote N-O exclamation point. No, never. Stop it.
I feel alone. I watch the bodies of everyone around me change with age, and I think it's beautiful for everyone except for me. I give everyone grace and
Toxic ritualistic.
I give myself unrelenting criticism. I feel alone while I curse the lighting in change rooms and while I pinch at my stomach in the morning while I brush my teeth. I feel alone while I stare at my legs next to my friends in the back of the cab and feel off-put by the size of them, while I'm at the gym and I can feel my...
So, remember I told you guys, you are obsessed with how you look in this particular area of life. Is that showing the obsession? Are you seeing it? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? For those of you that don't have this issue, are you seeing it? It's every waking moment, every single day, all the time, constantly comparing, constantly comparing. Look at how many times she's comparing to other women. Constant comparison, comparison, comparison. When I talk about it, I have to talk about it repetitively a lot. And that irritates some people. But it's because the issue at hand is repetitive. And a lot of times I am talking to people who have struggled with it when I do these videos. And I'm doing the opposite of toxic ritualistic reinforcement. I'm doing a toxic ritualistic shutdown. I'm doing a version of it. So I'm doing a reverse tracker jacker. By the way, I liked that metaphor that I did yesterday where I said toxic ritualistic reinforcement is like a tracker jacker. I'm doing a reverse one to fight the other tracker jackers, okay? So I have to talk about it repetitively because it is repetitive. You are constantly repeating this in your head. Look at how much she's saying it even within this reel. It's not okay.
Stomach fold over my leggings. The way I feel about my body is lonely and all-encompassing, and it is all of the time. And I know there is so much more that matters. I know there is no one I love for the way they look. It is always for the way they are, and maybe one day I will learn to see me the way I see everyone else.
Not maybe one day, how about now? Because you're putting your stuff at risk. You're putting your progress at risk. This is dangerous. You're dancing on a razor's edge. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not hashtag relatable in a cutesy way. This isn't good. This is a huge red flag. And if I were thinking about myself this way, I would be fearing relapse. Absolutely.
because everybody has a body, a strong, capable, beautiful body that has nothing to do with the way they are, but I feel so alone in the way that I feel about mine.
I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just going to let that go. You guys can just deal with that. I'm not going to get into that aspect. But it's giving, I'm the only one that's in pain. It's giving, I have it worse than everyone. Feel sorry for me. You don't. Even the version of you that was bigger had it worse than you. And while I understand not being Susie Sunshine all the time, trust me, I think that there does still need to be some level of appreciation, which I work to appreciate the progress I've made. And I'm starting to. And I'm starting to just appreciate, honestly, the work that I put in, too. You know, it's like you're doing yourself a disservice, too. It's not good for anybody. So, like, I did a video for members where I listened to something that I recorded a year ago that's going to come out tomorrow. And I've come a long way in a year, and it made me feel good. It did. And it was mental, what I was talking about. It wasn't even about how I look. It was about how I think. And how I've been living post-toxic ritualistic, and how back then the scars of it were deep and purple, and a year later they're so faded, you know? It's so much better. And it made me feel good. And it's like, you need to appreciate what you've done. Because again, what does that do? It helps bring down the anger. It helps. You don't want to do all this just so you can be a miserable bitch. You just don't. You don't.
I don't think.
All right, you guys. So I hope that helped. Remember, I'm not ever like judging these people because I understand it. I have a lot of Midsize Princess energy myself, and I am still... I watch content like this to try to remind myself of how I'm being and how I need to not be that way, and how a lot of us need to not be this way. So it's not anything hate related or judgment really, because I feel similarly sometimes. But luckily in this case I don't, which is good. I'm glad I don't. But it's because of a lot of work I did. And remember, when in doubt, just don't think about it. That's my best advice. Just stop thinking about it. But anyways, you guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, etc. Let me know what you think as always. I will see y'all later. Peace.